Before making my products, I used media technologies to research genres and looked at tutorials to find inspiration for my own trailer. I used the internet to research media theories to find out how audiences use media and what products can provide audiences in order to know how to market my idea best to my demographic. I researched several different subgenres within the thriller genre, as it is the genre I felt most comfortable in, as I have watched lots of thriller films and television shows in my own time. I felt competent researching these genres and felt interested to see what I could produce after learning the conventions of the chosen genre. I also included YouTube to research techniques that I could implement into my own trailer and analyze the tutorial. YouTube was a great format in being able to absorb information visually and follow a step-by-step tutorial to create a similar result. I also used Photoshop to present my research with visual aids, uploading the documents using a blogging platform called WordPress. It was useful at being able to go over my work chronologically and was easier to find in later stages when I needed to refer to the relevant theories and genre conventions. I also used an application called Prezi, similar to a mind map, to record my initial ideas. This enabled me to think of different storylines using the genre research to back it up. Using media technologies in the research stage was an essential part of supporting my ideas later in the process and made me feel confident going into the planning stage. In the planning stage, WordPress was an essential media technology that enabled me to combine other applications and programs into one document. I used Adobe Photoshop to create flat plans of my magazine and poster and upload it to WordPress, where I discussed what I intended to put in each section. This became a useful tool later on in the construction stage, as I was able to refer back to my original flat plans instantly. Photoshop also enabled me to design a questionnaire which I printed and handed to the volunteers in my local city. I used the internet to create charts for my questionnaire responses and uploaded these charts into WordPress and analysed the data to gain primary research to find out who my target audiences were. This stage was very important, and the primary research allowed me to tailor the construction process around my planning. I used Adobe Story when writing my screenplay and script, as the standard format for film screenplays was already set up as a template. It also included all of the shortcuts so that the screenplay was quick to produce and followed the industry standards. When conducting primary research, I filmed a focus group and a vox pop, which I edited in iMovie and uploaded it straight to YouTube through the program. iMovie was an easy media technology to use, as the interface is user-friendly and I had no problems navigating around the software. iMovie is a program pre-installed with my Apple MacBook, which is very useful when I had to import files from other programs, as it did not need constant permissions to access files from external devices. I felt that iMovie was the right technology to use, as it allowed me to edit easily all of the footage using shortcuts and worked well with other applications. I also appreciated the feature where I could instantly share my results to YouTube and leave the application running in the background whilst it uploads. Unlike other applications which are heavy duty, multitasking on iMovie was incredibly easy. Whilst editing the primary research in iMovie, it gave me an opportunity to adjust to the software and viewing screen that I would later use in the construction stage. In the construction stage, I used an array of media technologies to construct my products. I filmed all of my footage using a Nikon 3200 camera and attached a macro lens when shooting close-ups with a Vivitar lens. I used Apple's iMovie to edit all of the footage for the trailer, adding transitions and cutting down scenes in post-production. At this stage, I experimented with other video editing software, including Final Cut and Adobe Premiere Pro. However, I found that using Premiere was very difficult, as a lot of the effects and transitions were hard to locate without referring to tutorials constantly. Another issue I had using Premiere was that to include captions to get similar effects as I did in iMovie, in Premiere I would have to use Adobe Bridge and import caption cards I made in Adobe After Effects. Final Cut was easier to operate than Premiere, however I felt iMovie was a more suitable program for me to use, as it was the easier application to import all the files and have a visual reference of each one in separate panels for audio, transitions and video. When editing, I added filters including a day to night, which added a purple hint to certain scenes. I also manipulated the images by adding a blue colour wash by using the blue filter. In the exposition sequences, I used warmer filters, increasing the orange hues to reveal to the audience what had happened before. I also used a white vignette effect in the point of view shots to create a dreamlike atmosphere in iMovie. I manipulated audio to create muffled sound effects during the car scene and split audio sections up to lower the soundtrack during the dialogue or narration sequences. This is similar to how I copied the train audio and repeated it later on to build tension. I added stings into my trailer by importing audio files from the internet and used pre-existing ominous sound files from the iMovie library. I included these harsh, non-diegetic sound effects to build tension within the trailer. In order to create the hyperlapses, I used Adobe Lightroom to import the series of images together and edit the images as a collection. I added a vignette effect, adding film grain and using colour wash to connote the psychological thriller genre. I also used a spot removal tool to remove any imperfections in the background to not distract the audience's attention from the protagonist in the frame. I then imported the collection into Adobe After Effects and compressed the images into a short video. I used the Warp Stabilizer VFX tool to make the transition from frame to frame seem smoother to counteract the different levels in the flooring. Due to the uneven floor surfaces, there was a lot of distortion in the first hyperlapse, which I counteracted by slowing down the footage so the distortion is less noticeable than when all 83 images were compressed into 5 seconds. I then rendered the images in After Effects and imported the file into iMovie using a media encoder. I repeated this process with the other hyperlapses and then edited the duration of each hyperlapse to fit the pace of the section the hyperlapse would be in, speeding up the pace with each hyperlapse to increase tension slowly throughout the trailer. I used the internet to download royalty-free music that I used in my trailer, a composition by Eric Satie, Nocien No. 3. I felt that this song fit my trailer, as piano music is often featured in soundtracks and thriller trailers. following the conventions of the genre. This is relevant in Tom Ford's Nocturnal Animals, David Fincher's Gone Girl, Nicholas Winding Refn's Neon Demon, and Ron Howard's Girl on the Train. When constructing my poster, I extensively used Photoshop to manipulate the text and position each aspect following my flat plan made in the planning stage. I imported one of the images already edited earlier from the first Hyperlapse collection in Adobe Lightroom. I then imported the image into Photoshop and added a stronger contrasted vignette effect and used adjustment layers to further manipulate the image so that the vignette effect fit the cropped image and was more noticeable. I added a Gaussian blur effect on the duplicated layer to make the edges fade out and applied a layer mask to remove the blur effect from the central image. I carefully reduced the opacity of the brush to create a seamless transition from the focused image and the blurred edges. This effect was used so that the text in the building block could be easily read while simultaneously adhering to industry standards. I used Adobe Typekit and the internet to import typography that I used in my trailer. This is evident in the building block where I used Steel Tongs font and included the institutional information by adding in vector logos from Google Images to conform to industry standards. I changed the color of each logo using the Paint Bucket tool so that the building block, release date, and logos would be consistent. When constructing my magazine, I used Photoshop adjustment layers initially to edit the shadows and highlights of the images. I adjusted the image to use a black and white filter, then boosted the contrast to darken the shadows, increasing the tonal range of the image. I then used a layer mask on the black and white adjustment layer and removed the black and white effect over the protagonist's lips to reveal the red lipstick. I merged the layers down and then duplicated the layers 3 times. I then added a posterized filter onto each layer with the setting of 2 on the bottom layer, 3 on the second, and 4 on the top layer. I then reduced the opacity on the top 2 layers to create a 3-dimensional effect. This made the image look more like a graphic instead of a photograph to fit little white lines as house style. I then used Adobe Illustrator to smoothen the layer and remove the background to create a vector. I then imported the final image back into Photoshop and started adding the masthead of the magazine. I added a stroke to the image to make the image stand out against the white background. Using the color picker tool, I matched the color of the character's lipsticks to the stroke and reduced the opacity slightly. I then added the text to the background layer, importing dialogue from the script. I changed the color of the title using the color picker tool again to match the same red tone shown on the antagonist's lips, similar to the stroke, so that it stood out against the rest of the black Korean new text. And then finally, uploaded everything into WordPress. In the construction process, using media technologies was the quintessential aspect of producing my main product and ancillary text. In the evaluation stage, I used iMovie to prevent visual aids, including stills and videos, to provide evidence of my evaluations. I used the voice memo app on my iPhone to record the audio and then imported it into iMovie to create each evaluation response in a chronological fashion. Overall, I used a variety of media technologies throughout the process, from research to evaluation, which enabled me to refine my skills and produce 3 media products as part of a cross-media package.